Hi guys, it's Jay here for Full Time Devils. Joining me today is Ian Stirling from the Manchester United Supporters Trust, MUFC, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about. Ian, for those who don't know what the Manchester United Supporters Trust do, just tell us a little bit about the work you do and what you're about.
Kind of organisation that we are now, we're a supporters trust. Supporters trust means working in the interests of supporters of the club. We go back 20 years from the campaign to when Rupert Murdoch tried to take us over. We were formed then. We helped supporters invest in shares, so we provided an investment vehicle. So if you want to put in 10 quid a month, you can buy a fraction of whatever the shares were, or how many fractions of the shares, rather than having to go to a dealer and pay top whack, if you were going through a bank or somewhere like that. And we're very successful with that. We had there was a total of 30% of the shares of the club that were, 23% of the shares of the club that were held in supporters' hands.
Right.
At that time. So we were really, really successful with that. And it's a way of promoting share ownership for supporters. Obviously, the stuff about Glazer, we were opposed to the takeover because of the conditions with it being leveraged and with there being so much debt. We thought it was a bad way for the club to be owned and run. And then we kind of morphed into more of a supporters organisation as well, because there are no shares for us to be able to buy now. Or not enough, or not the right number of shares, I should say. And what we work at now is try to represent the supporters' views. So we're on the fans forum, we have regular meetings with the clubs for future planning. So whether it be the atmosphere work that has gone on, whether it be future developments in safe standing, ticket prices, travel, policing, stewarding, all these kind of things, and we kind of try to work to address that. European travel's a big one. Had some very, very successful trips, season just gone. Italy, Juventus is probably the best Italian away ever in terms of experience, and there being no trouble at all in the policing. So we do a lot of proactive work like that. But our core aim is always to have a stake in the ownership of the club. That's what we're about. That's our one pillar. That's what we're about. And we do all these other things around it. So it's a service to supporters. We try and represent supporters' views as best we can. We're never going to represent everyone's views. Everyone's never always going to be a member, but we're trying to do that. We're always open. It's a volunteer-led organisation. And I think we've been pretty successful over the years. Lots of wins. No season ticket price increase since 2010, and that is down to the influence we've had in the club. Reduction in Europa League game, which is people are going to benefit from this coming season.
Fortunately,
League Cup, things like that. Expansion of more youth tickets inside the ground, all these kinds of things, and that's kind of a snapshot of the work we do.
We know there's obviously a GlazersOut movement and a protest this Saturday, and we will get to that in a little while. I just want to ask you about sort of when it comes to holding the club to account and scrutinising the club and taking them to task over certain issues. How are you able to sort of do that? Are you able to sort of work with the club whilst criticising them or questioning certain decisions?
Yeah, I mean, we see ourselves as critical friends. Yeah. Look, if I could change the ownership tomorrow and put a better model in place that included supporters, I would do it. Wouldn't have to even think about it. We'd accept it. Obviously, who the other partners were, and it was going to benefit the club and supporters, obviously. But if we think that there's something wrong, we're not shy in saying it. There's lots of instances where we've done that throughout the years, and I think our view is quite well respected by supporters, or supporters who know what work we do. And our view is respected within the club, and I think we're quite a major influence for a number of reasons. One, our length of time. I don't think there's anyone who's probably working at the top level in the club that has been going to the following United as long as we have, for a start. Our motives are genuine. All we want to see what's best for Manchester United, best for the club. And they'd be fools not to recognise that, and I think they take that on board, and they see where we're coming from. It's not self-promotion. It's not promoting MUFC per se as an organisation. So we know exactly what side we're on. We're on the side of supporters. We defend supporter culture, and that's the main part of our work. So yeah, we can be critical when needed.
Because we've sort of worked together in the past, haven't we, on certain things, and I know there was a thing with the tickets outing, and that you helped a few people out there that were, you know, getting caught up in it that had nothing to do with it, things like that. And, also, safe standing has been a talk of that as well that must have been sort of helping to sort of push through, should we say.
Well, I mean, the safe standing campaign has been, it's over 20 years old, and we've been running into brick walls everywhere with it, you know, just dead ends from people, whether it be government, whether it be local authorities, whether it be the club. We're in a position now where the club are accepting, they support and they publicly support the reintroduction of rail seats for safe standing.
That'd be great. I mean, I miss, you mentioned it's 25 years, I think, since we had standing.
Yeah.
At the old
I was there at the last game.
I
was there at the last game.
Coventry.
Bury.
Was it?
Bury, FA Cup.
Oh, was it? Right, I remember the league game.
Oh, it might be. You know what?
I thought it was Coventry. 94, was it?
I was almost sure it was Bury FA Cup.
Someone get involved in the comments. When's the last time United? He's saying Bury. I'm saying
it must be around the same time. It's probably the same season.
Yeah.
But
94,
we all know, and we all know what effect it had on the crowd. It had on the atmosphere. It had on your experience of going to Old Trafford, and what it led to subsequently because of that as well. And it's a diluting of the support culture and the diluting of the atmosphere. And, you know, that thing of being able to go to football, stand with your mates, congregate together.
It's sad
that's what it's about.
Yeah, you know, I was 14, I think, when they stopped doing stand. And I used to do that, go with my mates, get to the ground, get together and go in. And now it's you know.
Yeah, it came to the extreme as that, as where you got people ejected, banned, arrested. What, for standing at a football game? You know, it's crazy. So we're in the position now where we are very, very hopeful there will be a major change soon.
There you go. You heard it first. A
major
change.
There's an acceptance in the club.
Right.
There's flexibility with the safety advisory group. They're kind of people who give the clubs the licences.
Right.
Government are kind of accepting, but are just going through the process of doing inquiries and evidence and things like that. So I think there will be a major change. Spurs, they've already got it, put rails in front of rails.
This is what I don't get.
Wolves, Wolves have proposed a hold stand.
Oh, right, okay.
All safe standing. So the point with Spurs is their safety certificate, I'm informed, is on a match-by-match basis. So it's under review all the time. So that's the way they're managing it there. So it's suck it and see. Let's see. That makes sure that there aren't any problems, aren't any issues. But that's it. And once you get the first club in, I'd love it to be United.
Yeah.
You know, that's got it in. We've always been campaigned as leaders from the front. You know, lead, don't follow. I think this is an ideal opportunity. I think the club recognise that as well. And I would hope that very soon that there would be some positive news with that.
Because you've got it in lower league. Was it Shrewsbury, I think? Shrewsbury had it. So, you know, it's still a football match.
Yeah, Celtic.
Yeah, well, exactly. Why can't, you know, why is a Shrewsbury fan any different from Manchester United fan?
You know, we've won all those arguments. Right. We've won all those arguments. It is safer to stand with rails across than it is to stand in a seated area. And you can't just be telling people, sit down. Doesn't work.
No.
Doesn't work. It's not what it's about.
Yeah,
and you've got to give people a choice who want to sit and want to stand. It's about accommodating.
It's a mixed bag as well, isn't it? You know what it's like at Old Trafford. Some places, some parts, people stood up and the shoes are like, you know what?
Well, we're in this situation where there's a relaxation and acceptance that certain areas of the ground will, what they call, persistently stand. You know, rather than just standing in moments of excitement. Well, we've been stood up for that long.
We're all sat down. If that's the case, then
but
not much there.
Sorry, that ticket just caught me.
What is that ticket?
I've got that one.
United v.
Collect all tickets for. Sorry, right.
That better be here when you leave.
So the situation was crazy with All-Seater Stadium. All the problems that it caused, and it really only benefited the FA, the clubs, owners. That was it. Police as well. You know, we know where people are and we know what seat they're in. There's no need for it. There's no need for it. So I think there'll be major advancements very, very soon. It's
good to hear that, and it's good to, you know, to sort of highlight the work you do, because I think there's a lot of misconceptions with Must. We know that there's this GlazersOut movement, shall we say. We've seen the hashtag. What have you made of this campaign? Do you think there's there's a chance it could have an effect?
I think the thing about Manchester and people who follow Manchester United, whether you be from Manchester or not, there's a certain savviness about them. They know the score. They know what it's about. And when they see people coming in and using the club for their own means, they're going to get a bit arsey about it. It happened with Murdoch. It happened Maxwell, even going back further. Yeah. It happened against Glazer. You know, the legalities were we couldn't stop Glazer. We had our shares compulsory purchased. Still causes a lot of hurt with me, that.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at those in 1999, the most successful team in the world, I own part of that. I felt part of that. Now, that's gone. So, is this kind of love of Manchester United where you want what's best for the club? And I think what people see is the degeneration of performance, not challenging, investment, how much money has been taken out of the club, what they feel about the club in terms of, do they feel part of it?
Yeah. Rather
than being valued, a value be put on them. I think that feeds into the discontent that's been felt at the minute. And one of the obvious outlets for that is going to be social media.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're seeing at the minute. And, you know, there's people basically from all over the world who want to see a better way for Manchester United.
Yeah, I mean, we cannot. I think every United fan agrees, whether you're behind the process or not, whether you agree with it or not. We want to see positive change. That's what we all say. You know, we've seen the hashtag, we've seen the sort of. I think MUTV wasn't aired for a couple of days, so there seems to be some sort of effect. That I think some of us, myself included, are wondering, where does this lead? What's the next step?
Well, you see, your responsibility doesn't end with an hashtag.
Yeah.
If you really believe that there has to be change, what do? Keep your fingers crossed and hope for a Jim Ratcliffe or a Sugar Daddy?
People saying this. I've seen even people saying Saudi Arabian royal family and all that. But then
why?
Getting into another debate.
Yeah, but why do that? You know, if you look at the Man United supporters as a collective, we're as rich as any of them.
Yeah. Do you think that could happen? Do you think United could get, like we heard the Red Knights thing? Do you think there's a way where you could get fans together like you did similarly years ago and say, right, okay, is there
I don't think there's a magic one. That's
right.
The thing. There isn't a magic one. There's that one solution.
Yeah.
What we view now is a different kind of ownership model. And I need to put this into perspective. Saying Glazer out on its own won't help.
Right.
It won't do it. It does put pressure on. It puts pressure on the owners. Or does it? We don't hear from them. They never come out and publicly spoken since the takeover itself. You know, Joe Glazer appeared on MUTV, and that's it. And that's been the only kind of interview. So we really don't know what they think. We know it does have an effect on the sponsors. It's going to hurt them. They want to be associated with success. But then if you know that concerned about the sponsors, you'd be investing in the team to make sure that success continues. But a hashtag in itself is just the start.
Yeah.
You really got to give more investment than that if you really believe it. We've been through the process with protests, taken part in protests. But unless there's a prospect for change, it's just a hashtag and a protest and no one really has to listen. So what we see is a different kind of ownership model. Now it may not be, and probably won't be, just supporter-led.
Right.
Football's changed. You know, we're not talking about the days when you can go and buy United for 800 million, as the Glazers did.
Yeah.
You know, City were up for sale for 60 million. Leeds were up for sale for 30. That's the cost of a decent centre-back now.
Yeah.
The world's changed with that. So what we see is a different kind of model where a mixture. So you may get a Jim Ratcliffe. You might get one of the old Red Knights who we still talk to, and there's still interest there. But as long as they work in the interests of supporters and give supporters the opportunity to invest in it as well. And I think that would be the way forward. But all of this is irrelevant if the Glazers are not going to sell.
That's the big question.
That's the issue. We're not in control. They've got the money, they've got the power, they've got the control. We've got a voice. Do you
think discontent from the fans could lead them? Or do you think it is just purely about... I mean, I know this sounds a really stupid question when I'm talking about the Glazers. Is it purely just about money? Is it going to be whether the fans' discontent turns into people stop spending money? Or
I think the real concern for us is this discontent turning into negativity between supporters.
We've seen that already, aren't we?
Yeah.
I mean, we've had it on the channel. You know, we're a platform, we're a voice to United fans, whether you're... The vast majority of our fans are GlazersOut, but whatever your opinion is, we'll give you that platform to do it. We did it with Unfollow United, we've done it with this. And people accuse us of not getting involved or of being one side or the other, where, you know, we just give fans a voice. And most of us on the channel who appear regularly, you know, we want the Glazers out, but we want to see something come in that works.
Yeah,
and I've already seen that. We've seen a lot of discontent, as you mentioned, and that worries me a little bit. Instead of aiming it at the owners, we're aiming at each other sometimes.
It's frustration that people start taking out on each other, and we don't want that. We've been down that road. We was down that road in 2005. Less so 2010, there was a bit more unity with it, but then there was a prospect for some change. Yeah. Just so happens the Glazers weren't selling.
Is that the green and gold? We were talking about the green and gold there in 2010.
Or the Red Knights didn't want to pay as much as the Glazers want. We're not in control of those kind of things as supporters. You know what? And us as supporters, we shouldn't be knowing about all these finance issues and...
Well, I don't. I dipped my toe in that one once with a blog, and some finance expert messaged me and said, "You've got this completely."
Exactly. You know, it's not, that's not what we're about as football supporters. Our love is Manchester United, and that's what we want to protect, and that's what we want to see flourish, and that's what we want to feel part of. That's who we want to feel valued by. So it's limited as supporters as much as we can do, but one thing that we can do is show unity and stay together. This isn't a rah-rah for joining Must.
No.
But if you believe in supporter ownership, join Must.
Yeah.
You can join as a match day member. It's £5 a season. It's not. It's a pint of beer. Yeah. It's a couple of those shitty little bottles at half time. Yeah, it's not. It's not a big commitment.
No.
But show what you believe in. And you know, and I'm not the kind of going out big, come and join us. But if that's what you believe in, do it.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just sit behind a keeper or put an hashtag in and think that is the end of your responsibility. If you believe in something, give it your commitment. If you really believe in something, not only pay a membership, you can come along and volunteer as well.
Yeah.
You can help out. I wish they would.
Yeah.
But that's the modern age way in terms of these, what do we call them? Real organisations and not online. And it takes time, it takes commitment, and that's a lot for some people. And with United support being drawn from such a wide area, it's difficult.
I mean, it would be great to see every sort of protest group, every sort of area of it come together and working together, because we've seen the hashtag. We know we've got Manchester United supporters trust. We know there's a protest on Saturday, a physical one. I don't know how successful that's going to be, I'm not sure, but if there's a way of working together and sort of having a goal, I think this is the problem sometimes. It's a bit sort of, for me, it just sounds a bit, Glazers is great, it sounds great, but
there has to be an alternative.
Plan?
There has to be an
get a plan and say, right, here's the aim, we want to get the Glazers out by having this. And if it is, I mean, people keep saying Jim Radcliffe and all the rest of it.
You're plucking a name out.
Yeah, he's a United fan, he's the richest man in Britain. It sounds great, but has he got $4 billion that he's willing to put into United? But just moving on from that, I mean, with the Glazers and everything that's going on, do you think the fact that we had this in 2005, you're right, we had it in 2010, we were speaking not long ago here, we had George Baker, one of the founders of FC United, on. He spoke about the process in 2005 and the trying to get the ownership and all the rest of it and how close they actually came. But do you think now there might be a better chance, or do you think the fact that the club, the team, aren't doing as well could alter things? Because even in 2010 we were challenging for Champions Leagues, we were winning titles, and let's face facts, we're only human. It's harder to be angry and upset and protest and all the rest of it when you've got a club that's doing well, team that's doing well, you've got a manager you all love, you've got players that some of you really care about and have got a connection with. Fast forward 9 years now, you've got a manager, we love the manager, but players a lot of fans don't feel connected with. The football's been patchy at best, and that's me being nice. And we're miles away from our two fiercest rivals. Do you think that?
I know, which makes it even worse.
Yeah, I mean, it's horrible. Me and you were laughing before, we were talking about how it was 10 years ago, and we were sort of dismissing City, yeah, and we've all done it. And now it is a nightmare. You're watching them win everything domestically, and then to add salt into the wound, the Scousers go and win the Champions League. Do you think that could make a protest like this or some form of discontent grow because of the situation now being different to what it was 9 or 10 years ago?
2005, there was something direct that we were trying to stop happening.
Yeah.
Someone from taking over the club that we saw as a danger, and I think most supporters then realised that danger. 2010, green and gold. You know what? If you look at practically any protest from any football club, there's no more visible than that one.
It was everywhere, wasn't it? Yeah,
it's great. But that was in the direct response to the bond being issued, another 500 million. So it was again. Now, what is this protest about? And what's the alternative? 2010, there was a prospect of these Red Knights, just basically a group of rich individuals who, wanted to work with supporters, but obviously saw some kind of investment opportunity for themselves. There isn't that in place now. Yeah. So my concern is, it could peter out into nothing because there isn't any alternative again at the end. There isn't an outcome. There isn't a finishing line in any kind of way. If you're just showing opposition for something, you can get tired of that, showing opposition and nothing happening at all. But on the flip side of that, I think the perception is we're in a position as a club where there's major investment needed. Lots of money has been spent. We have spent in the transfer market. As a percentage of our total turnover, probably half of what City and Liverpool have been doing, so really still not enough. Major rebuilding. We've got a young manager who supporters regard as a legend, and I don't think they're going to turn on him. So I think this is one of the reasons for now, turning attentions to the how the club's running, the ownership. There's so many things which look, even the ground.
Me and you were talking, weren't we, was it after the Chelsea or the Cardiff game? I forget, back in the season. We all love Old Trafford, the iconic stadium, the memories that we've had there, but is it a case of we either rebuild Old Trafford or we have another ground somewhere else? Because for me, you've watched football up and down the country and you see some of the new stadiums, those new stadiums say that have been built, and you think, is Old Trafford up to the job, really? Well,
if it is the case, whichever one of those it's going to be, either rebuild or redevelop, it's going to cost a lot of money. And can we afford to fall further and further behind? There's going to get us in a position now where we're challenging is probably, 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, I'm going to get onto that. I want to ask you about that. How long do you think it'll take?
Look at that investment that's going to be needed in that time, coupled with pressure from supporters. It could put some pressure on to sell up. But then we want to be in a position to be part of that consortium in some kind of way. That's the thing. If it's just selling up and we sell to an owner who has the same intentions or just wants to make money out of the club, what's the point? I'm not saying we're going to be in a worse position, but we actually want to progress and get better. You look across the road, they've put billions into it.
Yeah.
We've taken billions out.
It's almost identical, isn't it, what they've taken out?
1.5 to 1. Well, it's actually a bit more with us because you've still got the outstanding debt as well. And it's these kind of things where supporters probably can't see the prospects of any immediate change because everything's immediate now with social media and everything's got to be done straight away. You know, it's can't see any prospect for any kind of immediate change. And I suppose there's this feeling of a bit of despondency of, gosh, even if we start really putting that effort in now and really putting that investment in now, it could be 3 to 5 years until we're in a position to be winning major trophies again.
You said something a minute ago. You said the supporters won't turn on Ollie. I'm with you. I think it'll take 3 or 4 years, probably 5 years, I think, before we're challenging for a title. I'd give Ollie that time. I would. Do you think the board will give him that time? Do you think they'll give him A, the investment, and B, the time that he needs?
You see,
Klopp got it down the road.
Yeah.
He did. He got time and he got money. And
he's
reaping the reward now. Do you think Ollie will get the same from the board?
You know, it depends what your priorities are. That's the thing. We know what our priorities are.
Yeah.
We know what we want to see. We want to see better football. Yeah. We want to see players that excite us. We want to see us challenging for the top signings. We want to see us challenging in competitions, all competitions. We want to be on the top table. You know, if we finish 4th and it gets us into the Champions League, why spend another 400 million to win the league? That might be someone else's priority.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why, if the stadium's full, do we have to redevelop it and put anything else in?
Yeah, you don't see any sort of signs here that they would kick.
What we need is someone with vision and passion.
Yeah.
Who really wants to make and put United back at the top again. That's what we need. If the current owners do that, and it turns around and start putting money in, you know what? I'm sure they'd have people's support.
But it's a big if, isn't it? Yeah.
Is it going to happen? I can't see it happening.
No, I can't.
You have a look. What's happened with? I mean, I don't follow American football. Tampa Bay.
People have been tweeting this.
They're a joke team. You don't.
It's all gone to pot.
So that's it. The power's in their hands. The control's in their hands. They've had enough money. The money's there to be able to do it. Do you want to do it? Is that your priority? Is that your desire? Or are you just happy us to plod along and milk as much out as you can? I don't want that. No United supporter wants that. And I think this is the reason for a lot of discontent. And it's welcome to see it, because I think we should be all holding the owners to account. Definitely should be all holding the owners to account. So let's see what it develops into.
There seems to be, just going on to football on the pitch matters, there seems to be this sort of change of tactic in terms of signings. We've seen this summer, Daniel James came in, 15 million quid. I think initial payment of 15 million quid to Swansea. We've just bought Aaron Wan-Bissaka for a bit more, but he's a 21-year-old, both young lads. We seem to be aiming towards longer term, young players.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the right way forward?
I think if you look at the past, 3-4 years where we've had these big signings who've not really, you can say Ibrahimovic, is smashing. Nice luxury
That's
one.
the thing, that's what worries me as well, Ian, because you mentioned Ibrahimovic. I have this discussion with so many people, and I have a lot of mates who are not United fans who've got no sympathy with me. Because when I talk about the Glazers or this and that, they go, well, you bought Di Maria, you bought Falcao, you bought Pogba, you bought Lukaku, and what are you whinging about? But we've just done, it's not worth it.
They're almost glory signings.
Yeah.
That's maybe maybe they should have gone and talked to Ferguson before they signed Pogba.
Well,
great player, loved him when he was in the reserves, but since he's gone more like an elf.
Loved him 8 years ago.
It's like I'm 53, Jay.
Don't look at me, 52, mate.
Thank you very much. Easy paper round. All this Instagram and. Do your talking on the pitch.
Right.
You know what? When you're winning, and when you're winning trophies, and when you're earning your money, do whatever you want. Yeah. But until then, ignore all the rest of the bollocks and get on with the stuff on the pitch. And I think that's really what turns people against. All the streaks in your hair, the blue and silly dances. And it's like supporters should be pissed off with that. They really should be. Yeah. If you're earning more in a week than probably, 99% of supporters are going to earn in 10, 15 years, you've got a duty to those supporters. Yeah. They're giving their hard-earned money to come in and support you there. But you could say that's modern football, but it doesn't sit well.
I get where you're coming from. I mean, I'll be honest with you, a lot of it don't bother me. If I'm being honest, a lot of it doesn't. I've seen some of, the whole on holiday and the beans and all this rubbish, you say that. A lot of it don't bother me. What bothers me more is when I'm sat there watching us against Huddersfield or Cardiff.
Last game of the season, Cardiff.
Yeah, and I'm like, really? Do you know what I mean? And it's not even about talent and ability. If you get beaten by a team that's better than you, fair enough. It's when they're winning the 50-50s and all the rest of it.
Talking
just what I see.
I was with...
it's a bit deflating, to say the least.
I had the pleasure of being with Brian Robson in Malta a few weeks.
I was just tweeting a picture about name dropping. He's going to pin that name up there.
I'm sure he's doing the same about it.
Yeah, he's sorry, his mate. I was with Ian Stirling the other week.
He was saying there. No, it wasn't. Oh, gee, this is going to look terrible.
We're
now.
not cutting this. By
it was
the way.
Viv Anderson.
What? Don't need to say the difference.
I was with Robbo, but it was Viv Anderson.
That's Brian Robson.
I know. I'll tell you the story about Robson. Right. With Viv Anderson, we said, and I was talking about the situation at United, and I said, you know, because social media, it's so immediate, blah blah blah. You know, straight away they're on there, all these comments, and we said, well, you know, certain players used to do this, that, and I won't mention any names. Used to do this, that, and the other. He said, yeah, but we were winning.
Yeah. And
that's the difference, and that's what it's about.
You know,
and if you're winning, do what you want. I'm not bothered.
It's funny you mentioned
dye your hair whatever colour you want.
You mentioned the hair. At half time, if you went on social media, April, whatever it was, 2018, whenever it was, everyone's pop his hair. You go to full time, everyone's loving him. Because we won and he scored. It is, but you're right. If you're winning, no one gives a toss what you post on your social media.
So do it on the pitch. That's it. That is all that matters.
We can all agree with that.
That's all that matters. And then you can put up with a lot when you're winning.
Ian, thanks for chatting to us. Before we go, just go and give us a bit of a pull. Tell people how to get involved in Must.
So we're a volunteer-led organisation where we do lots of really diverse things. We run a food bank on match days for one. It doesn't interest every red, but you know what some people do. We do match day stalls. We have people who do social media stuff. We have people who write articles. There's lots of different ways people can get involved. Without the support of our fans, we're nothing.
Because people have been tweeting a lot recently with the whole GlazersOut thing. People have been tweeting Full-Time Devils, and they mentioned Must in a lot of the tweets that have gone to us. I've mentioned you guys as well. What are you doing? What are you doing about this? So go and check them out. Go and check out your
Come
website.
Down. You know what? We've got a house. I'm at Busby Way.
Come round for tea.
Come round for a drink on match day. We're there every game.
Yeah.
We're there every game. We're approachable. I'm on Twitter. Duncan's on Twitter. It's.
Are you on Instagram? Are you doing all that on Instagram? Hey, Insta stories.
No way.
Hashtag lols.
I'm thinking of coming off Twitter. It's just.
You don't get that easy. You can't do that.
To see us do. Don't be telling us what to do. Tell us what you can do, and come in, and we'll help you do it.
Yeah.
There's lots of different things. It's about. If you want to see real change, if you want to have supporters' voices heard, come in, do it. Get involved. I mean, I've been doing it a few years. I'd like to see more people get involved. We do. It's times like this where people tend to get involved.
Yeah.
Because it may be interesting more when there's time, prospect for change, and a bit of protest. That's how I started.
Yeah.
But. It's a great organisation. We've done some fantastic work, some great wins. It's really interesting. If you love football and you love the background stuff a bit more, not just the stuff on the pitch, stuff to do with supporters, ticketing, travel, policing, stewarding, fans forum, all kinds of stuff. Come down, have a chat with us, see what you can do, tell us what you can do, and we don't turn anyone away.
Well, there you go, you see. It's a bit like Full-Time Devils. As always, that Ian. Thanks for chatting to us, mate.
Cheers, Jeff.
Always good to chat to you. If you want to get involved in Full-Time Devils, want to share your thoughts on GlazersOut or anything else, get involved in the comments. Feel free to send us your thoughts, your videos. And don't forget to subscribe as well. Thanks for watching.